The Yankees-Red Sox wildcard game is on in just a few hours, and as you guys can see, I have not done my bracket for the 2021 postseason, so that's what we're going to do right now. Last year, I got it right. I picked the Dodgers, but let's face it, the Dodgers was a fairly easy pick, so are we going to differentiate from that this year? Let's just start it. Without further ado, the 2021 postseason bracket. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are your predictions, if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. So first and foremost, we have to talk about the AL wildcard that is happening today at the time of this recording. We have the Red Sox facing off against the Yankees, and if you see me looking off to the side, that's because I'm looking at the standings from the regular season, and I'm going to go with the Yankees, and I say that because the Boston Red Sox, they were sub 500 against teams that were above 500. The Yankees, they were plus 500 against teams that were above 500, so hopefully that makes sense. I think that the Yankees, they live up to the pressure a little bit more. They were terrible against teams like the Orioles and Cleveland, but when they played the Red Sox or a team like the Rays, I mean, aside from the last week of the season, they usually performed fairly well. Moving on over to the Dodgers versus Cardinals. This is the NL wildcard game. We have Adam Wainwright versus Max Scherzer. That's another thing I should know. I have no idea who is starting for the Yankees or the Red Sox, so if it's Garrett Cole, which I don't think it would be, again, the Yankees are going to win that game unless Chris Sale's on the bump, but I don't think he is either. But that is a different story for a different day. This is confirmed. We have Scherzer versus Adam Wainwright, and even though the 40 to 41-year-old phenom Adam Wainwright is having a fantastic bounce-back season, I think that the Dodgers at 106 and 56 are going to be facing off. They face the Giants in the NLDS if they win that game. Oh, that is going to be absolutely must watch. I cannot wait for that series. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Astros versus the White Sox, shall we? Because the Astros, they were sub 500. Of course, it was a 60-game season, but they were a sub 500 team going into the playoffs just a year ago, and yeah, the White Sox are the exact opposite. They're 93 and 69. They had a really good season, but if we take a look at the records versus good teams, the White Sox had a losing record versus good teams. The Astros easily had a winning record, and I just think they performed so much better in the playoffs. They don't have George Springer, so that is going to be an X factor, but they have Kyle Tucker playing like an MVP along with Carlos Correa, and I feel like Carlos Correa is going to play even better because this is confirmed that it's his last season in Houston, and I think that he wants to go out, no pun intended, with a bang. I'm sorry, that was not intentional. I'm not trying to be a jerk. The Astros actually gained a lot of my respect back in 2021 because they were monsters. So even though the White Sox are fully loaded with Lance Lynn and Dallas Keuchel, he can be good every now and then. You have Dylan Cease, you have Carlos Rodon, who could be a Cy Young candidate. I'm going to go with the Astros. So we are narrowing it down. Let's go to the Braves versus the Brewers. This is going to be an interesting matchup because the Braves, their pitching staff has been really good over the last week, and especially against the Phillies, in which they held Bryce Harper to an 0 for 11 stat line. So for me, this is going to come down to the bullpen, and I just don't trust the Braves bullpen. At the beginning of the year, they were blowing leads, it seems like, every other day. Just Will Smith absolutely terrifies me. We saw the other Will Smith for the Dodgers go yard off him last year, or maybe that was the year before, I can't remember. But I'm going to go with the Brewers. When you have Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer, there's another guy, Freddie Peralta. When you have those four workhorses at the top of your rotation, I just truly think that is going to come in big time in the playoffs. And Christian Yelich, he's starting to heat up a little bit. They have Willy Adames playing really well. They added Eduardo Escobar, and Garcia had a fantastic season as well. So let's go back up to the Rays versus the White Sox. Now, I'm really hoping that the Dodgers and the Yankees win their wild card games. Otherwise, the rest of this bracket is going to be botched. But to be honest with you, the Yankees, I don't think that they have the firepower in terms of getting on base in order to beat the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays, they have guys that get on base. They have guys that hit for power. They can steal bases. They can play some fantastic defense. They have, as Kevin Cash calls them, a stable of pitchers that throw 99 to 100 miles an hour with movement. Colin McHugh, no one talked about this guy, but he is going to be in the conversation for one of the more underrated players going into 2021 because back in the day, he was a fantastic starter, and then as a reliever slash opener for the Rays, he had a sub 1.5 ERA, so he could start any game and go 4 or 5 innings. So I picked the Rays over the Yankees. I just think that the Yankees Yankees. Yeah, they're playing decent to end the season. Aaron Judge is feeling himself. He had an MVP campaign. Giancarlo Stanton, he maybe had his best season since he won MVP. but I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. They set a franchise record with 100 wins, so they're going to be my pick. Who will the Brewers be facing in the NLCS? This is a very, very tough matchup. The Giants also set a franchise record in wins, just like the Rays with 107, and the Dodgers, everyone expected them to win 106 to 110 games, but the Giants, the fact that they came in first place and actually beat out LA, even though LA added Max Scherzer and Trey Turner at the deadline, and they have been playing a whole lot better since that point, but to me, this is a tough matchup. I mean, if you take a look at the raw stats, they're pretty much a even team. The Giants and the Dodgers both have a top 5 offense and top 2 or 3 rotation, as well as bullpen in all of Major League Baseball, so I guess it comes down to which lineup do you trust the most? Do you trust the veteran experience? Well, actually, both teams have the veteran experience because they've been to a couple World Series between Buster Posey and Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford. And then if you take a look at the Dodgers, you have Cody Bellinger, even though he's been not very good this year. He's been to a few World Series and postseasons. Mookie Betts has won 2 chips. Just, I'm trying to think who has the better roster, who has the better bullpen, who has the better just all-around talent. For me, I really like what the Giants have done this year. I'm just going to go with the Dodgers because they have found a way over the last few seasons to get the job done. And the Giants, I know that they won 3 World Series back in the day about a decade ago, but I'm going to go with the safe pick. I mean, maybe the safe pick would be the Giants. Actually, the Giants actually won the season series against the Dodgers. I don't know, maybe the Dodgers are due and they'll actually reverse that into the playoffs. I'm going to stick with that pick because I picked the Dodgers in the preseason. So now we have the Astros and the Rays in the ALCS and the Dodgers and the Brewers in the NLCS. So we have the Rays versus the Astros. You guys might think I'm crazy. I might get a ton of hate for this, but I don't care. Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, these guys are going to perform like Cy Young Award candidates in the postseason. That's what Framber Valdez did last year. I think that Luis Garcia is going to step up and be a dog. They have a bunch of other guys. Christian Javier, I think he was pretty good last year when they were trying to make that World Series push. So yeah, call me a crazy person, call me weird. Maybe I've always just been a non-believer in the Rays because they spend so little money, so I just don't comprehend how they get so much talent. I mean, they make the best trades. They did lose the Jake Cronenworth trade. I do want to mention that. Maybe that just furthers the point that I could be a Rays non-believer or a Rays hater, so you guys have to let me know, who do you think is going to come out of the American League? Let me know in the comment section down below, but I think it is going to be an Astros versus Dodgers rematch, and this is going to be one of the most watched World Series in the history of baseball, one of the most watched sporting events in the history of sports, or maybe not up there with the FIFAs and the Super Bowls and everything like that, but I think that this is going to do numbers. So if we have to take a World Series champion between the Astros and the Dodgers, the reason why I chose the Astros is because how well they play against good teams, and the reason why I chose the Dodgers over the Brewers is because I like their lineup just a little bit better. And if we take a look at the rotation, I mean, you have Kershaw versus Woodruff, you have Buehler versus Burns, you have Max Scherzer versus Freddie Peralta. I just think when you have those 3 guys, Scherzer, Buehler, who was one of the greatest playoff pitchers in the history of baseball. Also, Blake Treinen was really good this year. Kenley Jansen, he's back pumping 95, 96 miles an hour. I think that he has been really good. So to me, the Dodgers, they do narrowly beat the Brewers. I think that series is going to go 7 games, as well as the Rays versus the Astros. And who is going to win the chip? I think this is going to go 7 games as well. I'm going to go with the Dodgers as your back-to-back World Series champions. When you have a couple different, actually, I just remember this, Max Muncy is not going to be in the wild card or the NLDS, and that's going to be against the Giants. Oh man, I just forgot about that. And Max Muncy is a Giants killer. I'm still going to go with the Dodgers, but that could be the X factor. I guess the little asterisk behind my pick is if Max Muncy is out for the remainder of the season, but then it cancels out because Brandon Belt has a fractured thumb. So I guess Giants fans don't feel bad for Dodgers fans, and they just hate each other anyways. But yeah, Astros versus the Dodgers. I just think that the Dodgers have a little bit more depth, and they're going to come through in the starting rotation department, as well as the offense. They're too overpowered for any of the teams that we mentioned today. So if you think I got any of these wrong, please let me know in the comment section down below. Again, these are just my predictions. There is no way that any of this is going to happen. I'm pretty much wrong half the time. And when I'm wrong, I'm like very wrong. But when I'm right, I'm usually weirdly right when it comes to like predicting players and stuff like that. So for me, I'm comfortable with this. The White Sox are a team that could scare me in terms of my predictions because they do have Luis Robert. I mean, he has been playing out of his mind. And Lance Lynn, even though he's been slipping Carlos Rodon, that rotation is really good. I just don't know if they're going to be able to beat the mighty Astros because the Astros, they always play better in the playoffs. But thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And if you missed the first video from today, I predicted all of the MVPs, the Cy Youngs, the Rookies of the Year, stuff like that. It'll be in the top right of today's video. Catch you guys there. Stay safe.